Cheating in video games used to be a common thing. Now, I don't mean aimbots, wall hacks, and things like that. I'm talking about cheat codes, Game Shark, and Easter eggs with hidden unlockables. While these features were prominent in games of the late 90s and early to mid 2000s, they've seemingly faded away in the past decade and almost completely. I personally have fond memories of Big Head Mode and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, getting every weapon and staying alive forever with 5 stars in GTA 3, and duping rare candies to level all my Pokemon up to 99. But these days, as games have gotten more cinematic and less, quote, video gamey, developers have started to gravitate away from things that can allow a player to break their game. Or worse, they sell these sort of things as upgrades through microtransactions. So here's the question, guys. What are your general thoughts on video game cheats? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Or do you feel indifferent about them? Do you use them, or did you use them when they were more prevalent? And what are some of your best memories of video game cheats? All right, so generally, I just want to go around and let's see our general thoughts of video game cheats. You don't have to answer all the questions in one go, but Paul, what are your thoughts?
I love them. I think they're a total blast. It's hard for me to imagine anyone to hate video game cheats. It's just a different option for someone to play the game differently and maybe get to experience stuff that they wouldn't if their skill level's lower or whatever. It's kind of like some of that like Forza stuff they're doing now, in modern games, where they're doing like more accessibility options to make it easier for you to play the game on like a super easy mode, or just a lot of games that have like just the story mode just to experience more of it. So I mean, cheat codes kind of did that, where you could like give yourself a gun that one shots everyone, or you could just do something silly, like we do with mods now. Before mods were so prevalent, you couldn't give yourself giant heads in Goldeneye unless there was a built-in cheat code by the developers. So that stuff is cool to have. Also, yeah, it's also cool to have like a creative mode in games that maybe didn't have so many creative things. Again, like playing in Age of Empires, the old OG, being able to do like gold cheats and money cheats, and being able to give yourself a giant army.
Or the Sims.
Yeah, Rachel brought this up a lot, is doing the Sims and doing that kind of stuff. And there was a ton of great cheats in the Sims, motherload and lots of things to like get yourself tons of money, stuff that Rachel still does, even though she plays with mods. She still does a ton of cheats because they're just there and they're built in. It's easy. So yeah, I mean, I think cheat codes rock. I think we should be making more of them, or at least maybe expanding some of those accessibility options to be more like accessible, but also like, since we're there fucking with the game, let's make them fun too, like add some weird stuff. Just a total blast. And I'll talk a little bit more about like Game Sharks and stuff later, but in general, I love them.
Sweet. Josh, your thoughts? Cheats, love them, hate them, don't really care.
I pretty much love them. I mean, it's hard not to. Why hate them? Like, they're just goofy and fun and just add some variety to the game. I mean, just one, and like, for example, is super niche, but the Lord of the Rings, excuse me. I guess it's not that niche, but the Lord of the Rings, like, action RPG games were so stupid. You could give yourself all the abilities, just max abilities, and you could give Legolas double mithril arrows, unlimited capacity, and you would just be a goddamn 50 cal. You would just be sitting in the middle of orcs and just put it on the hardest difficulty, and boo, 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 and you just unlock every single character. It was absolutely cheating, but it was so much fun because it just made you a god. I love them to death. I have some more thoughts on like kind of the evolution of cheats where they've kind of gone now, and the almost pain in the ass they can be now, but I'll get into that a little later.
Cool. We'll come back to that. Cope, what do you think about game cheats?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to go against the grain here. I mean, I'm pretty on trend with everybody else, but I mean, like, first of all, what's the standard on vulgarity here? Just I forgot to clarify that.
Say whatever the fuck you want, dude.
Okay, good, because fuck the capitalist structure of the microtransaction angle of it. Like, they can suck my whole fucking dick. Okay, I hate that. Obviously, I'm all the way against that. Like, I abhor microtransactions. Everything's a fucking microtransaction anymore. I love cheating. I mean, like you guys pointed out, like, they add accessibility to games. Like, if people, when I was a dumb fucking kid and couldn't get through levels or something, like, obviously I'm gonna pull out the cheats and skate through like whatever I need to do, or like, Tony Hawk's, like if you can't ever get a high score or something, you want to not wreck or whatever, like all this kind of stuff, like GTA. Who can forget like moon bouncing on bicycles in San Andreas and spawning jetpacks and like the chaos cheat codes where it just like makes all the citizens maul each other. Like it's so fun.
The hot coffee mod.
Oh,
like hot coffee mod, of course. Now, like the new age kind of cheats, like mods and stuff like that. I've always seen that, and I've never really like taken part in it. So I mean, like I'm a big Fallout guy, and I've always seen people like talk about how they fix Bethesda's games for them.
You don't play Fallout with any mods?
I mean, I always played it on consoles, and then like I never got into I was never on console once they started bringing it to console, the ability to mod, and then I haven't really played it in a while because 76 just doesn't exist in my mind. But it's just I also think that my preference for like gaming has shifted. Like as I've gotten older, like I really respect it as an art form because I mean it is art, so like the I don't know if I get the same thing out of it as I did when I was a kid and I was just like looking for this wacky experience that I used to get. So I don't know. I don't really get into it as much anymore, but I can definitely see the value of it, and I just don't feel like I play a lot of games where it's as prevalent or I don't know, not as functional.
I like that you bring that up at the end because that was sort of when like open world sandboxy games were a new thing. That was really special. Now it's literally every game, like every Ubisoft game is that, for example. And so having those cheat codes where you could do whatever in that world was a unique, novel thing that it just isn't necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of why we don't see cheat codes anymore. But we also, I think the addition of achievements and trophies has sort of been a part of why we've gotten away from that, because like how can you have trophies and achievements in your game if someone's just breaking them with cheat codes and stuff like that? I think that sets another hurdle for it. But Mike, what about you? What are your general thoughts on video game cheats?
Oh, I hate them. No.
The villain of the podcast.
I have I mean I'm indifferent. I had similar experiences as you all when I was little. Like using cheat codes is fun. But like nowadays it's like whatever. Honestly, like who cares if people are having fun? Let them have fun. I think the day that a big head mode becomes a microtransaction is the day that EA has taken over gaming and we never play a video game again.
I don't know. But Ubisoft is basically doing all that kind of stuff with their games. So
true. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we've lost a lot of the cheat codes today. I feel like a lot of the cheat code stuff has become more like April Fool's Day shit and stuff like that.
Right.
One thing that I found very interesting, and even just like thinking about this question, because everyone knows the Konami code, and everyone knows, well, if you know the Konami code, you probably know why it existed, because Contra was so fucking hard. And the Konami code gave you extra lives in Contra. I find it very interesting that games like, Elden Ring, Dark Souls don't have a similar version of a Konami code. I feel like that's a missed opportunity from Software, for sure. I mean, they have an online and offline mode, so like they could easily have cheats enabled when you're offline. Kind of the same thing with trophy systems. I know I want to say back in like the Xbox 360 early days, there were games that had cheat codes in them, but I want to say certain games would deactivate your ability to gain achievements when you had cheats enabled.
I was thinking about that. I didn't know. I know that happens in Steam, but I don't know if that ever happened in Xbox. Maybe in the early days it did.
360 had that with Halo
Xbox.
And several other games.
Okay.
I was going to ask about PlayStation because I never had, after PS2, I never had PlayStations, but I was always an Xbox guy. And I know it happened on most Xbox games, at least the ones that like, obviously like as you got from 360 to one and all that stuff, it kind of become less and less like what games even had cheats, or that I know of at least. But I mean, the ones where you could, it disabled the achievements. So I don't know about PlayStation personally.
Yeah, but I feel like the lack of cheat codes is like one of I'm going to say that it's this, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to make a bold statement. It's a reflection of the state of video game development in general right now. Video game developers are extremely overworked. Cheat codes being put into a game was because probably video game devs had more time and were allowed to have more fun on their job and kind of fiddle around and figure out what they wanted to do for fun while they were working on these projects. And nowadays, developers don't have that time or that really freedom to do that in the games that they make.
Well, and most of it's catered to a multiplayer experience too.
Yeah,
I think would like add on to that, like that's what, like, I'm a big fan of, again, Fallout and like Skyrim and games like that. And those games in like the past 5 years to even 10 years, I guess, since like the early 2010s have been like slowly trickling out, and everything's got to be a always online multiplayer. And I like multiplayer games. I mean, I like hanging out with buddies. Most of the time when I'm streaming and stuff, I'm playing with friends. But yeah, I mean, I think the appreciation for games where you're offline and can like mess with everything is kind of gone by the wayside. I don't necessarily know if that's a demand thing so much as like the industry has made it that way because they feel as though they can monetize more heavily on always online multiplayer games of service style stuff.
I was going to say that I think that like partly the industry has matured a lot too. I think initially it was like, let's make some money on box sales, see what happens. Who knows if this game works, we'll make another one, whatever. But now they have like, this is a super mature industry. They know exactly, what video games should make, what things, what kind of money we can make off of that. There's like decades of research. So now at this point, it's more about like maximizing profits, which I'm not saying that the companies were doing it for fun earlier, but there was definitely a Wild West vibe in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s that is gone now as they know how to make money. And so like what Mike was saying, like these devs don't have the freedom to just goof around a little bit because they're like, that won't make us more money. So like we're not doing that. Put in something else that would make money instead. And often I think one of the saddest things is when they do, I mean, this is like 101, but it has to be mentioned, when they do put in cool different outfits or cool secret hidden features, they cost real money. So it's like they still make them, but like the soul is dredged out of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, the early 2000s even, I mean, Halo was notoriously like Halo 1 and 2 both had serious crunch, like even on the scale of like what we see today. But I still think that like even in that era of games, even when gaming was starting to become more mainstream, you still felt the passion that developers put in it. And that's really like I don't really feel that as much anymore. It feels like so many games are being run by corporate suits that just don't really give a shit about what all of us enjoy or don't even know. Like even if they think they know, they don't know, and they're just like, well, this makes shareholders happy. So
and that's part of what led to the rise of indie games like in the last 15 years is because people were looking for something different that wasn't so formulaic and so corporate. Paul, let's get to the Game Shark thing now. I want to talk a little Game Shark because I have one major memory of Game Shark, and that was two of my friends way back in the day. They were battling in Pokemon Red and Blue with a link cable, of course, and one of my friends had a Game Shark, and so the Game Shark allowed him to capture my other friend's Pokemon during their battle, and so the kid getting his Pokemon stolen, he got so upset. Obviously, started crying and all that kind of stuff. But this other kid, he was always kind of a little shit. One day, he took my toy lightsaber from me and started running around the neighborhood, just draining the battery while I chased him around as I was trying to get it back. And yeah, that pissed me off too. But the kid, he was a little shit. But he stole my friend's Pokemon with the Game Shark. It was crazy. The Game Shark was wild. I had one too. I never used it for evil like that, but It was a good time. Paul, what's your experience with the Game Shark?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know you could have nefarious things with a Game Shark. It was just sold
Yeah.
in stores. Like I didn't know you could like permanently take things from someone. That's so wild. I personally, I wanted a Game Shark when I was a kid so much, N64, Game Boy, all this stuff. I wanted a Game Shark, never got one. I finally got one for PS2, like the last
Oh, wow.
time they were still doing Game Sharks. And I think it was like something I put in my memory card slot, and it was shaped like a shark or
Oh.
something, and like a cartoon shark, and it was pretty wild. You had to really jam it in there, yeah, it was cool. The problem is the only game that I had, because I guess I don't know what it is. It was kind of early in the PS2 cycle, maybe, or like Game Shark just wasn't really a thing as much anymore. So like the only game I had that was compatible with Game Shark was Turok.
my
Seeds of
God.
Evolution or something,
Jesus.
which was just some
Throwback.
random game I got, like, I don't know, from my aunt who didn't like know what games were popular. And so I never really played this game, but I played the shit out of this game because of the Game Shark. I like spawned all these crazy dinosaurs. There was like the Game Shark gave you a mode where you could play as a raptor and hunt Turok instead. And it was just crazy. And I'd play it with my friends, and we'd like do all this crazy weird shit, and we'd do all these insane mods, and so it was really fun to do that. But alas, I kind of had like a pretty shit like Game Shark experience out of the realm of like all the stuff you could do.
Anyone else have an experience with Game Shark?
So less so the Game Shark, more so cheat guide books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like
nice.
did everyone? You may have had it too, Paul. I don't know up in Gooseland, but the Scholastic book fairs.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
okay.
yeah.
Dude.
Scholastic book fairs were goated, and they were like, all right, you're gonna go in here, you're gonna buy some books to really improve your reading, and I'm like, fuck that shit.
The
I'll
fuck
forever
I am.
read at a 3rd grade level, baby.
Magazines, baby.
I got RuneScape guides and cheat code books to get.
And
and
Spy Gear.
Exactly.
Yeah, holy shit, they did have Spike here.
That's right, dude. You were a fucking James Bond in 3rd grade with the Scholastic Book Fair.
I got a free bookmark that came with the One Ring like tied to the top of it, and I just undid it from the bookmark, and I had a fucking like a metal The One Ring from the book fair for free. Like, are you kidding?
Nice.
It was. I think that really showed though how prevalent cheat codes like were then. Because I mean, literally, there were so many that were just dead on accurate. Like it was like an encyclopedia of accurate cheats for just about any game on the PS2. Like because I got it later on in the PS2's life cycle, and they just all matched up like anything you could imagine. They'd have fucking anywhere from Lord of the Rings to Medal of Honor. Like, bro, where's the crossover there? Like, it's just crazy shit.
You know what else was good, Josh? Was not buying a magazine and just going to GameFAQ.com, and it was free. And you got.
Well, I was
going
gonna say, I remember I used to have printouts of like 15
Yeah.
pages stapled
Same.
together.
Yes.
walkthroughs and cheat
you-
codes. Yeah.
Did you go through, like, I remember like printing out the whole webpage, but I also remember just like copy and pasting so many codes and then playing Grand Theft Auto 3 and like entering codes, but I don't know what the fuck they're about to do.
Yeah.
So, like all the cars explode and I'm like, I wanted infinite ammo. Like,
Yeah.
Or I remember my printer was always broken for some reason, and I like wrote out by hand like descriptions to
shit.
go to the like the levels or like it
Oh, yeah.
was crazy stuff because your computer was never in the room of your console, of course.
I remember one of the sites was cheatcc.com. That
Yes.
was one that I always
CCC,
used.
that was like the big one I used.
Yeah.
And then Game FAQs was great as well, especially for the walkthroughs. That was
Can we get a show of hands here, or just a verbal confirmation of who forever calls it Game Fox or Game Facts?
It was
'Cause I
Game
do.
Facts.
That's
Game
good.
Facts.
It is
It's Game
actually
Facts.
called Game Facts.
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Which is weird. I don't know why they wouldn't say Game FAQs, but yeah, it is called Game
Doesn't
Facts.
roll off the tongue.
No,
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
You guys
Another-
are in an audio format here. You got to know the linguistics.
very, very true. Very true. We're only 59 episodes in, so we're still getting used to it. The other thing I wanted to bring up was from the blurb. I talked about how, and Cope touched on this a little bit, was how games and Paul as well, how games have matured, and because of that, they've gotten more cinematic and they're just not as video gamey as they used to be. Like putting Big Head mode in The Last of Us Part 2, like it doesn't make sense.
Would be
Like,
hilarious.
I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
the
Really
thing, though.
funny.
It's
Would
funny
be
as
amazing.
shit. Because in God of War, like the God of War that it's on PC now. I forget what I think they gave them like giant teeth and like giant heads, like crazy shit, and it's hilarious. Like
Skyrim's a serious game, more or less, and like you have fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
But those
dragons.
are mods.
Dude,
But I'm
Right.
saying, why
Why not
it
cheats?
fits thematically.
and that's
Yeah.
the thing.
One-
Why aren't they just baked into it?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it.
Like-
That's the point I was gonna make.
Like, why isn't there codes to change the cat and stray?
There's I know
Make it a
there's mods
tabby.
for it.
There's so many. Make it a
yeah.
tabby. Make it a nice little gray cat. People love gray cats.
There's
Make
mods
it
for
make
it,
it a
but like
dog.
why? Okay, well, a dog moving like a cat would be really fucking weird, but okay.
Have you guys seen the mod that turns the cat into CJ from San Andreas?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes,
Fucking great, dude.
it's amazing.
Fucking
Super
great.
weird.
It's so good.
It's
Everything is CJ.
horrifying.
I need CJ from San Andreas in every game I play from now on.
Wow.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Oh,
Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
I'll just jump in really fast. When you said the thing about thematically, fitting because games are art and, do cheats fit? I think that's just where I want to give a shout out to one of my all-time favorite games that I love the shit out of, and that's Fortnite, because the whole game is kind of like playing a regular game with cheat codes. It's like, oh man, I really wish Boba Fett were in this fighting
true.
Indiana Jones. Oh, it's there. Oh, I really wish there were helicopters in the game, but then there were boats, and then there was a bus that shot rockets out of it. Oh yeah, we put that in the game. Like, and like when we talk about microtransactions, yeah, a lot of this stuff requires money, so it's also kind of the flip side of the coin of how fucked it all is. But I will say, it is kind of funny that it's kind of the culmination of what a game, what like a kid's fantasy game would be, and like the cheat codes you wish were in every game.
It's very much like unlocking Spider-Man in Tony Hawk.
Yeah, except that's literally everything in the game.
Yeah, I actually
there's,
saw
no
something.
there's no Tony Hawk part. It's just unlocking Spider-Man.
Well, and it's funny because I saw something on the Fortnite subreddit today that was all about like they're only doing Marvel characters. Like they can't help themselves. They're only doing Marvel characters. They're like, well, we did 3 Spider-Man last battle pass. What can we do for this battle pass? Well, 5 Spider-Man. Why not?
Well, the thing to tack on to what Josh said too about the booklets that you would get from the Scholastic Book Fair, they would have so many games in them, and it's like, yeah, I would get it and like absolutely wear the pages out on Grand Theft Auto or like whatever games I was actually playing. But then like there would be so many games in there, and I had so much fun using certain cheats that the next time I went to the video game store, like there's other games I'd see the cheats that you could play in those, and like maybe I wouldn't have played those games, but like I got them just because I was like, oh dude, I got to try out this cheat code on this game, like I wasn't already playing, you know what I mean? So like it probably got me to play games that I might not have otherwise.
Look at that. It was getting you to play games instead of read books.
Hey, that's the
Job
goal all
Scholastic.
along, baby. That is called American education.
Do you know
All
who the
right.
CEO of the Scholastic Fund was? Bobby Kotick the whole time.
Yeah, just funneling us to Activision.
Oh no.